Hey everybody, welcome to episode 38 of the Famous Pipe Smoker Friday show. Woohoo! I hope everyone in the United States had a great Thanksgiving last week. I sure did. My mom was here and we ate lots of food at my brother's place, and Facebook disabled my account. Don't ask. Anyways, thank you to all who watched the Special Sherlock Holmes episodes from last week. Today, we want to remember and salute a great American actor, Mr. Lee J. Cobb. Lee J. Cobb, one of the premier character actors in American film for the decades in the post-World War II period, was born Leo Jacoby in New York City's Lower East Side on December 8th, 1911. The son of a Jewish newspaper editor, young Leo was a child prodigy in music, mastering the violin and the harmonica. Any hopes of a career as a violin virtuoso were dashed when he broke his wrist. But his talent on the harmonica may have brought him first professional success. At the age of 16 or 17, he ran away from home and went to Hollywood to try to break into motion pictures as an actor. He reportedly made his film debut as a member of Bora Minevich and his Harmonica Rascals, which was their first known movie appearance, was in the 1929 two-reeler Boyhood Days. But that cannot be substantiated. However, it's known that after Leo was unable to find work, he returned to New York City, where he attended New York University at night to study accounting while acting in radio dramas during the day. An older Cobb tried his luck in California once more, making his debut as a professional stage actor at the Pasadena Playhouse in 1931. After again returning to his native New York, he made his Broadway debut as a saloon keeper in a dramatization of Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, but it closed after 15 performances. Later in his career, Dostoevsky would prove more of a charm, with Cobb's role as Father Karamazov in The Brothers Karamazov in 1958, garnering him his second Oscar nomination. Cobb joined the politically progressive group theater in 1935 and made a name for himself in Clifford Odets' politically liberal drama Waiting for Lefty and Till the Day I Die, appearing in both plays that year. In cast that included Elia Kazan, Cobb also appeared in the 1937 group theater production of Odet's Golden Boy, playing the role of Mr. Carp, in a cast that also included Kazan, Julius Garfinkel, better known as John Garfield, and Martin Ritt, all of whom later came under the scrutiny of the House Un-American Activities Committee during the heyday of the McCarthy Red Scare hysteria, more than a decade later. Cobb took over the role of Mr. Bonaparte, the protagonist's father, in the 1939 film version of the play, despite the fact that he was not yet 30 years old. The role of a patriarch suited him, and he'd play many more in his film career. It was a different kind of patriarch that he scored his greatest success. Cobb achieved immortality by giving life to the character of Willie Loman in the original 1949 Broadway production of Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. His performance was a towering achievement that ranks with such performances as Edwin Booth as Richard III and John Barrymore as Hamlet in the annals of the American theater. In 1956, Cobb was nominated for an Emmy for playing Willie in a made-for-TV movie of Death of a Salesman. Arthur Miller later said that he wrote the role for Cobb in mind. Before triumphing as Miller's salesman, Cobb appeared on Broadway only a handful of times in the 1940s, including in Ernest Hemingway's The Fifth Column. Later, he reprised the role of Joe Bonaparte's father in the 1952 revival of Golden Boy, opposite John Garfield as his son, and appeared the following year in The Emperor's Clothes. His final Broadway appearance was as King Lear in the Repertory Theater of Lincoln Center's 1968 production of Shakespeare's play. Aside from his possible 1920s movie debut, because remember, it's alleged, or it couldn't be substantiated, and his 1934 appearance is in the Western The Vanishing Shadow, Cobb's film career properly began in 1937 with the westerns North of the Rio Grande, though he was credited as Lee Colt, and Rustler's Valley, though his film career spanned nearly 40 years until his death. He took a hiatus while serving in the Army Air Force during World War II. He resumed his career in 1946 as he continued to play major supporting roles in prestigious A-list pictures. His film career reached its artistic peak in the 1950s when he was twice nominated for the Best Supporting Oscar for his role as Johnny Friendly in On the Waterfront, and as the father in The Brothers Karamazov. Other memorable supporting roles in the 1950s included the sagacious Judge Bernstein in The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit. In 1956, as the province psychiatrist Dr. Luther in The Three Faces of Eve in 1957, and as the volatile juror number 3 in 12 Angry Men in 1957. It was in the 1950s that Cobb achieved the sort of fame that most artists dreaded. He was called before the House Un-American Activities Committee on charges that he was or had been a communist. The charges were rooted in Cobb's membership in the group theater in the 1930s. Other group theater members already investigated by the HUAC included Clifford Odets and Elia Kazan, both of whom provided friendly testimony before the committee, and John Garfield, who did not. Cobb's own persecution by the HUAC had already caused a nervous breakdown in his wife, and he decided to appear as a friendly witness in order to preserve her sanity and his career. By bringing the Inquisition to a halt, appearing before the committee in 1953, he named names and thus saved his career. Ironically, he would win his first Oscar nomination in On the Waterfront in 1954. Directed and written by fellow HUAC informers Kazan and Bud Schulberg. The film can be seen as a stalwart defense of informing, as epitomized by the character Terry Malloy's testimony before a congressional committee investigating racketeering on the waterfront. Major films in which Cobb appeared after reaching his career plateau include Otto Preminger's adaptation of Leon Uris's Exodus in 1960. The Cinerama spectacle How the West Was Won in 1962. The James Coburn spy spoofs Our Man Flint in 1966 and its sequel, In Like Flint, in 1967. Clint Eastwood's first detective film, Coogan's Bluff, in 1968, and legendary director William Wyler's last film, The Liberation of L.B. Jones, in 1970. In addition to frequent supporting roles in film, Cobb often appeared on television. He played Judge Henry Garth on The Virginian from 1962 to 1966, and also had a regular role as attorney David Barrett on The Young Lawyers from 1970 to 1971. Cobb also appeared in made-for-TV movies and made frequent guest appearances on other TV shows. His last major Hollywood movie role was that of police detective Lieutenant Kinderman in the now classic horror movie The Exorcist, which came out in 1973. Unfortunately, Lee J. Cobb died of a heart attack in Woodland Hills, California on February 11th, 1976, at the age of 64. Though he will long be remembered for many of his successful supporting performances in the movies, it is as the stage's first Willy Loman in which he achieved immortality as an actor. It is through Willy that he will continue to have an influence on American drama far into the future, for as long as Death of a Salesman is revived. So there you go. That's it for this episode. My thanks to IMDb for the information for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. So, what was your first experience watching Lee J. Cobb? I first saw him in The Exorcist, but I did not appreciate his talent until I saw him in 12 Angry Men while I was in college. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let's have a conversation about this. And thank you for watching. And as always, if you like this episode, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified when new episodes of the Famous Pipe Smoker Friday show go up, as well as my movie reviews. Please follow me on Twitter at the El Magnifico. And until next time, may God bless you all. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Ciao.